Hello, and today I am doing a video on my prediction for the 2022 governor elections here. So, I guess I'll just get right into it. For safe states, I think California will be safe. Um, I believe that Massachusetts and Maryland will be both safe flips for Democrats. Hawaii will be safety. Um, and think New York I think New York will be around 10%. Zeldin will do very, very well because Hochul or Hochul, or however you pronounce your name, is very unpopular, but it still just doesn't change the fact that it's still New York, and New York City is still going to come out like, the counties are still going to be, 65, 70, 75% D there. So it could be around maybe 8 or 9%. I'm gonna say it's around 10 or so though. Um, Safe are Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Ohio and Iowa, Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, Vermont, and New Hampshire. Um, and also Texas, because Beto politicized the Uvalde shooting, which of course it should be, kind of related to politics, but not really the way that he did it was such a stupid idea. And that before, I think he would probably be R plus 10 or so. Now, though, I think R plus 15 to 20. Uh, Plus, Abbott's not unpopular in any way. He's fairly popular. So I'm going to put Alaska there too. But the weird system that they have there could make it go a little bit under. I don't see Dunleavy losing, and I don't see it getting within five. So I'll put it down as safe. It could get within 10 because I think it's like Bill Walker or something, the former independent governor, is running there, and the weird system there could could benefit him quite a bit. But I don't see it getting within 10. It'll be around 10 or so though. Yeah. Likely are um Kansas. That's Derek Schmidt versus what's her name, Laura Kelly. Uh, so Derek Schmidt, I think, will probably win by maybe 8 or so. The abortion vote there, Democrats are now, just because that got through. Now they're probably going to say that they're going to win there. The fact is, though, that abortion isn't everything in an election. It's just not. Like, sure, could it be a portion of the voters there that are going to vote off of that? Yeah, but it's still an R plus 15 state with and Kelly. I think her approval's like mid to upper 40s, which is better than any other Democrat in the state, but it's still under 50. I think that it'll probably be something like R plus 8. It'll be probably at least R plus 5. I think it could be R plus 10. It just depends at the end of the day. Other likely are Florida. Ron DeSantis. I think I don't. I'm gonna put it in safe. Uh, if whether Charlie Crist or Freed wins the primary, it's probably gonna be around 10. DeSantis has a super high approval rating. The state's going to the right. He could, and I think it's probably leaning towards him of winning Miami-Dade County. I think he'll flip back like Pinellas, Seminole. He could flip back Duval. I think he'll win by around 10. If it's Freed, he could win by another 2 or 3% more. But I think with Christ around 10, Freed it could be 12 or 13. Um, Georgia. Stacey Abrams couldn't win in 2018 with the state that was going to the left in like a D plus 8 or 9 electorate, and still lost by like, I think it was like 1.5. And she's just so unpopular, and she makes people want to just vote against her even if they don't like Kemp, which is why I think in the end I think it'll be maybe R plus 5 or 6. So even though, yeah, state is going to the left, but just because Stacey Abrams is so unpopular and just such a bad candidate, I think it just inspires people to not vote for her and vote for Kemp. So probably R plus 5 or 6 or so. Wisconsin, Tim Michaels, the somewhat outsider. He's a businessman, but he also ran for Senate in like 2004. Um, he'll probably win by like 6. Uh, Evers is obviously not very good on like economic policy, but I think if Michaels could really touch on the social issues and how he's been, flying the gay flag everywhere around Madison and been all for putting that in the school systems. I think if he pushes that enough, I think he could win by more than that. But I'm putting it around R plus 6 state going to the right, very Republican electorate, whether it's R plus 4 or R plus 10. But regardless, it'll probably be at least 5%, I think, for Michaels. Um, then Arizona. Kerry Lake will probably win by around 5 or so, I think, just because of how bad Katie Hobbs is. And I do really like Kerry Lake, but the fact that Katie Hobbs is such a bad candidate that just won off of just luck in 2018, and she's been so bad over the past 4 years. Uh, but she's so far left that it's just going to inspire people to not vote for her. So there, I'm going to say maybe R plus 5, R plus 6. It could go under 5. It just depends, but around R plus 5 or so, yeah. Um, that's it for likely R. Likely D, Colorado. If not safe, Polis, don't like him, but he is popular. Plus, Colorado's like went way left over the past just 2 or 3 or 4 years, but it could be over 10. I'm gonna have it D plus 9 or so. Polis will win pretty easily. I don't see Republicans winning there. I don't think anytime soon, unless Denver changes a lot. But we'll just have to see the future of there. But for now, probably D plus 9. Illinois, Darren Bailey. The polls actually show it like D plus 10 in like a D plus I think 17 state. So I think, and he'll probably do better than the polls say just because of how bad the polls always are. So I'm gonna say D plus 7, just because of people don't like Pritzker. So they probably won't show up for Pritzker, or they might even vote for Bailey. Uh, so I say D plus 7 or 8 for Illinois. Um, then you have Rhode Island. Rhode Island is always kind of weird in midterm governor elections, kind of like Vermont and Massachusetts and Connecticut. It could be 10. I'm gonna have it maybe D plus 7 or 8, just because of the national environment and just how weird um it always votes in the governor elections. And I think that is it for the likely D. Lean R. I think you will see Pennsylvania. Doug Mastriano now. The polls are going to be off by a lot. The polls now are starting to show it get closer. So I would say maybe R plus 3 or so. I don't see it going much more than that. I think Oz will probably do a bit better than him just because of how bad Fetterman is. But, you know, Mastriano's running a very good campaign. And even though obviously Democrats have said so much about how he's unelectable, he'll probably still win by what I'm going to say is 3 for now. We'll just have to see there. Um, then Nevada. I think I'm saying R plus 3 or 3.5. Lombardo, the former Clark County sheriff, he's shown that he can win in a fairly Democrat area. So he's gonna do very well in Clark County. I think it was maybe D plus 9 in 2020. He could get that to D plus 5 or so, maybe. I think he'll probably win there by 3 or 4. States going to the right, Republican National Environment, DSA, and Sisolak's kind of, he hasn't been even at 50% or popular for a while. He's always kind of just been always a little underwater there. So I'm gonna say maybe R plus 3 or 4 there. I think that's, yeah, that's it for lean R. Lean D. Um, I don't think there's any, no. So tilt R. I'm going to have New Mexico, Ronchetti. The polls show like D+1, D+2, and obviously we know how bad the polls are. So I think it's like Lujan Grisham is not very popular since all the scandals she's had lately. So I think maybe R+2, it could be out of that tilt onto the lean. I think Ronchetti will probably win by 1 or 2 though. Um, Oregon. This is very weird election there because you have the two Democrat and Republican candidates, and then a third party far left candidate in, like, I think Betsy Johnson. So she'll be taking away almost all, well, almost all of her votes are going to be from the far left Dems, which is why it's like a D+15 state. She'll probably take maybe 20% of the vote, 15, 10, probably not more than a quarter of the vote. I don't think so, at least. But I think I'm gonna put a tilt D or tilt R, sorry. Um, just because of that kind of spoiler there, will probably, or at least has a good chance to lead to a very narrow Republican win there. Um, then going back to the East, Maine. Maine is tricky. Former Governor Paul LePage versus Mills. Maine's like a D+9. Um, LePage proved that he could win. His first governor election, he only had like 40% of the voters. So the second one though, he got like 45, 46 and won re-election. So even though he did have kind of big third parties there, I think that he could win very narrowly. I'm gonna put it tilt R. It's probably the closest race in my eyes. It's really a toss up. I'm gonna put it tilt R for now. I could change that, but just because Paul LePage is, the former governor, I think he'll probably pull it off. Then Michigan, Tudor Dixon against Gretchen Whitmer. Gretchen Whitmer has a lot of money and a lot of resources, but I think that Tudor Dixon will probably win by maybe 1, maybe not even. She could win. I think her max would be like R+2 or maybe R+2.5. It is possible that Whitmer wins by like 1 or 2. I think Dixon will win just because of the red wave. But it's tough to say there. And then uh, the last races here, Connecticut and Minnesota. Minnesota, I think, is tilty. If not lean, I think Jensen could win there. I think, though, that Ramsey and Hennepin County are just so far left now that I don't think he'll quite be able to pull it off. I think his lieutenant governor nominee is like a former Vikings player, but I would say I think that it's probably a tilt, if not lean D, D+1, maybe D+2. It's possible that Jensen wins it, but I'm gonna put a tilt D for now. And last, Connecticut, Bob Stefanowski, um, ran in 2018, lost by like 3, with a very Democrat national environment. Now, likely a very Republican national environment, but I forget his name. Whoever Ned Lamont, I think it is, currently holds it. He's pretty popular from what I get. So, and Stefanowski doesn't seem to be running a very good campaign. So I'm gonna put it in tilt D for now. I think it could, become likely D. It could become tilt R. it's difficult to say. He almost won in 2018, but he doesn't seem to be running the same campaign that he was then. So that is it then. Thank you for watching, and that's everything. See ya.